is good, YouTube? Jujutsu Kaisen, chapter 240, Idiot Survivor Survive, has begin. And how this chapter actually begins is that it actually focuses in a flashback to when Satoru Gojo and Sukuna battle was about to end, where angels are telling the sorcerers that they should probably do a surprise attack on Kenjaku. And Angel shows her concern that even if the fight between Sukuna and Gojo ends and Satoru Gojo loses, that Kenjaku might end up ambushing the sorcerers after Gojo loses. And Hikari had responded by saying that because Kenjaku knows that the sorcerer have their hand full with Sukuna, that he's less likely to attack, which Angel responds that the sorcerers can barely beat Sukuna. And if the off chance they do beat Sukuna, they'll be too exhausted to fend off Kenjaku. Also, is problematic because Kenjaku planned to assimilate all of Japan into sorcerers will come into fruition. And our resident encyclopedia, who was watching the conversation and was keeping his mouth shut the whole time, decided to talk and let them know that they can use Maki to catch Kenjaku off guard because, she can't be sensed. And it'll kind of be like stupid to split their forces. But Angel actually recommends Takaba, which is why in chapter 239 we kind of like see him there because she recommends him, but both Hikari and Kusakabe doubt that because they're like, why this dude? And she just tells them that, this might be a bad influence to kind of let him know what his curse technique is. So as long as you don't say it out loud and say it to him, and we're going to get more into Takaba's curse technique later, but she, how the shonen thing does, where they get ready to reveal something, but then they just said, "Nah, we ain't gonna reveal it yet," which is kind of crazy. But we see Kenjaku and Takaba battling, where Kenjaku is attacking Takaba using a swarm of those little centipede cursors that we see in movie 0 of Jujutsu Kaisen, but it's not doing any type of damage. And that Kenjaku start realizing, like, okay, every time I attack this dude, nothing is happening. And all of a sudden, which is actually funny, Kenjaku all of a sudden is wearing an American flag bandana. And Takaba pretty much tells Kenjaku that you cannot beat me. And Kenjaku starts to analyze Takaba's curse technique, and he starts to realize that Takaba is pretty much reality warping. So anything or any phenomenon that he can think of using his imagination, he forcibly creates it, which is why his curse technique is called comedian, because anything he can think of or whatever, he can create it. And Kenjaku realizes that even with his 1,000 years of experience and knowledge, it will be useless against him. And Kenjaku is surprised that a player like Takaba actually exists. But he believes there must be a weak point because all curse techniques have weaknesses. And the two begin talking about the jokes that Takaba normally says, where he tells Kenjaku that Kenjaku face looks like it's a make me laugh face. And they have like a little thing where Kenjaku looks like on the side, it says make me laugh. And Takaba says that he will make Kenjaku laugh with this one shot gag where he talks about he was talking about sitting in a room and it's like, don't marry me, and it's none of your business, or I don't want you as my Wi-Fi. It was something like that. But Kenjaku is obviously not amused to it. And the two of them start talking about his joke. And I like the fact that they did this because the scene actually shifts to Kenjaku acting like a judge while he's breaking down Takaba's latest jokes. And he tells Takaba, unlike Haranashi-san's gag of, if I pull out my spine, which is the set point, I can't stay standing, which is the punchline. He says Takaba lacks the lead and the punchline to convey what his message was. And as we see, this actually affects Takaba a lot because when you understand his jokes logically and you break it down logically, that kind of affects Takaba. And the scene switch backs to Kenjaku kind of like sucker punching me, and it actually hit. He landed a solid hit. And Kenjaku is telling him, oh, I figured out the conditions for his cursing, and it's his confidence. As long as Takaba is confident in himself and he has certainty, then it will manifest itself. Comedian will activate. It's a passive curse technique. That's what it looks like to me. It's like a passive curse technique, and that's actually pretty sweet that each technique is different because that's pretty ingenious to me. And Takaba calls Kenjaku amateur because he's actually mad. And he just says that it doesn't matter if Kenjaku finds her funny. As long as the audience finds it funny, that's all that matters. He then challenges Kenjaku to a if you laugh, you lose. And they start making funny faces. And I actually like that because Kenjaku, unlike Sukuna, actually is playing along with what Takaba is doing. And he's also revealing his real brain or his real self because he's actually a brain. So he's revealing his real self. And when he did that, Takaba ended up laughing, losing the challenge. And then Kenjaku sucker punched him again. And that's when we start seeing that Takaba is losing his cool. And he's starting to think that maybe Kenjaku is funnier than him. And he starts trying to encourage himself by saying it's all right, he's funny. But he starts losing more confidence when he sees that Hosonoki dead body right in front of him. And he starts to see that Kenjaku is now looking at him menacingly. And Kenjaku's literally telling him, what's wrong? Aren't you supposed to laugh? Aren't you the comedian? That's when Takaba starts to think that this situation isn't a laughable situation at all. And he really loses confidence and he starts thinking, why did he even become a comedian in the first place? And that's how the chapter ends. It looks like Kenjaku, with his 1,000 years experience, is no freaking joke. As much as we all talk about Sukuna, Satoru, Kenjaku in his own right can hold his own. And it's going to be interesting to see what clan Kenjaku has come from. It's going to be real interesting to see that. I can't wait for it. But if you guys enjoy Real Ninja Views content, I would appreciate if you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Peace out, y'all.